Well, I know I'm preaching to the choir here because you are here, but I once read this in a church newsletter. It reads, "To make it possible for everyone to attend church next Sunday, we are going to have a special No Excuse Sunday. Cots will be placed in the foyer for those who say, Sunday is my only day to sleep in. There will be a special section of lounge chairs for those who feel that pews are too hard. Eye drops will be available for those with tired eyes from watching TV late Saturday night. We'll have steel helmets for those who say the roof would cave in if I ever went to church. Blankets will be furnished for those who think the church is too cold, and fans for those who say it's too hot. Scorecards will be available for those who wish to list the hypocrites present. Relatives and friends will be in attendance for those who like to visit on Sundays. We'll distribute stamp out stewardship buttons for those who feel that the church is always asking for money. One section will be devoted to trees and grass for those who like to seek God in nature. Doctors and nurses will be in attendance for those who plan to be sick on Sunday. The sanctuary will be decorated with both Christmas poinsettias and Easter lilies for those who've never seen the church otherwise. We'll provide hearing aids for those who can't hear the preacher and cotton for those who say he preaches too loudly. It's No Excuse Sunday. See you in church." It's funny, but that's what Jesus actually sounds like in our gospel today. He's not taking any excuses. We have 3 people here who are asked to make a choice. And it seems like they're trying really hard to follow Jesus. But they also seem to be making excuses. The thing is, their excuses are actually pretty good. The first simply says that he will follow Jesus anywhere. Now, it doesn't say it directly, but he also has an excuse. It's implied because Jesus tells him he doesn't know what he'll be giving up. Jesus was curt. "Are you ready to rough it? We're not staying in the best inns, you know." And that's Jesus' way of saying that he doesn't have a home anymore. That he doesn't have all the comforts like this man does. And he expects this man to give them up too. The second excuse seems reasonable enough. "I've got to bury my dad." You'd think that Jesus would know that burying one's parents is important in a person's life. But Jesus says, first things first, your business is life, not death. And life is urgent. Announce God's kingdom. And the third person who wants to follow Jesus, all he wants to do is say goodbye to his family first. Seems easy enough. You'd think that Jesus would be a nice guy and say something like, "Okay then, but be quick about it because we have a lot to do." That's, after all, what Elijah did for Elisha in our first reading. But Jesus doesn't say that. Instead, he says, no procrastination, no backward looks. You can't put God's kingdom off till tomorrow. Seize the day. Well, does it seem to you that Jesus is being a little grumpy here? It's out of character for him. He's harsh. He doesn't allow any wiggle room. But there's actually a reason for that. You can't pass over the beginning of our passage too quickly. It said at the beginning, when the days drew near, he set his face to go to Jerusalem. Jesus knew that his time was short. His time was now. So he gathered up all his courage and steeled himself for the journey to Jerusalem. This was a turning point for Jesus. Everything he says and does from here on has a certain urgency to it. Because this is a man who knows he's about to die. He's determined. He's decided. He's just set his face. And then he meets 3 people turning their heads. It's really no wonder Jesus was a little grumpy with these would-be disciples. The timing was bad. At a church women's conference, a layperson with the responsibility of family programming in a church like Wendy shared this problem. She said she gets really upset when people say that the church is very important to them, yet immediately say that they can't help with a specific program or emphasis because they have something else to do. Her examples were, I really think that the children are a top priority for the church. But I can't teach Sunday school because that morning's my children's day to sleep in, since they've been up late the night before. Someone actually said that to her? Or, I think that family outings or fellowship time is important, but I can't come to the picnic because my son has baseball practice that day. She gave several other examples, all of which are excuses every church worker has heard. And finally she said, I wish I could kick all of those buts out of church. And she went on to explain that grammatically, any time a sentence contains the word but in it, it entirely negates what was said before it. If you say this is important, but, then it's not important to you. In some ways, these would-be followers of Jesus want to put conditions on their following. They say, Jesus, I'll follow you anywhere, but first. And that's just it. The things you put first are the things that are most important to you. And Jesus is calling you to choose. What are you going to put first? This is hard for us. We are good at making excuses. I saw a couple things in the news recently that I thought were interesting. One story said that couples were waiting longer than ever before they got married. The average age for a man getting married today is 28 years old. It's 26 for a woman. 30 years ago, the average age was 20. But this generation wants to finish college first. They want to pay off all of their debts first. They want to get established in their new career first. They want to buy a house first. They don't want to make the same mistakes their parents made. They want to get it right. All good reasons. So they wait. Another story said 18% of women, 1 in 5, never have any children. It's not that they don't want children, it's just that with education and career first, they never get around to it. So the things you put first are the things that are most important to you. Let's be honest. Our desires for soft pillows and comfortable beds and for keeping family and social obligations will usually be higher priorities than following Jesus. We might be willing to give up some evils in our lives, but to give up all of these good things, to make them a lower priority than Jesus, well, that's radical discipleship. In my last church, there was a young man named Jin Li. He was from China. Well, actually, he fled China because he's a Christian, and it's illegal to practice the Christian faith in China. He was persecuted there for his faith. So Qian left his home and family, crossed mountains and oceans, and sought asylum here in the United States because this is a Christian country. The young man couldn't speak English, and he didn't understand a word I said to him. But he walked to church every Sunday, and he worshiped with us because he wanted to practice his faith. He even started ushering. He was just happy to worship. No matter where, no matter what time, no matter the language. He just wanted to be there. Now, we might say, give us a break, Jesus. We're in church, aren't we? But as Billy Graham once said, as only he could, being in church no more makes you a Christian than being in a garage makes you a car. Martin Luther said, a religion that gives nothing, costs nothing, and suffers nothing is worth nothing. Jesus confronts us. He confronts our excuses because he cares enough for us to tell us the truth. We have a God that expects the best out of us. No excuses allowed. We have a choice. And Jesus wants us to choose him like he chose us. You see, when Jesus set his face to go to Jerusalem, at that moment he said no to all the other possibilities for his life. Good choices. He said no to settling down with a wife and having children. He said no to honing his skills as a carpenter and sharing his craft with others. He said no to experiencing his first gray hair, the birth of his first grandchild, or the respect he'd get someday as an elder of the village of Nazareth. He said no to everything his life could have been, to all of those good things. And he said yes to us. He said yes to death on a cross to save us. He chose to give his life for us, hoping that we would give our life to him. Jesus is saying to each of you, being my disciple means saying yes to some things and no to others. You have to decide what's more important. It's your choice. So what comes first? Amen.